Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Monday, November 8th, 2021, and today's topic is called Watch and Wonder. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening only on November 2nd this time around, and this is show number 128. Here's an alternate cover slide I was toying with as well. See which one you like the best. And before we get into the sky observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobro hanya, annyeonghaseyo, portaji, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, hudenda, and good day. And today's starter image is not only a combination of the words, wisdom, and spirit of the day, nor just the greetings from around the world, but now I have an excerpt coming from a recent deck I came into called The Oracle of Hidden Worlds. And this is an excerpt coming from the guidebook, the back jacket. And this deck is by Lucy Cavendish with artwork by Gilbert Williams. And I did pull a card from it at the very end of the show. If that's the only kind of part of this that you like, feel free to go ahead and skip the sky observations and head straight to that. Otherwise, I'm going to get into this a little bit. So I'm pairing this beautiful quote coming up with a piece of raw Jasper crystal from my own collection. And it was just extraordinary because it developed to look like a desert landscape. When I looked at it, I was just really wowed. It's just beautiful. You know, if you can see what I'm seeing, we're looking off into the horizon with the desert in the foreground, the sand, mountain range profile here, and with the sky, and appropriately so these days, something kind of on angle in the sky, and maybe even cloaking, quote-unquote, strange cloud activity, let's just say, up above. So see what you see in this gorgeous scene. In the meantime, I will go ahead now and read a quote. And I do believe it is, I think it's called Desert Jasper, if I'm not mistaken. Feel free to clarify that for me if I got it wrong in the comment section below. All right, so let's get into this quote. I'm just going to read it straight out. We live in a beautiful world, one which we experience with our senses. When we are fully connected, it is a satisfying, deeply blessed, and heart-nurturing place. We are a planet of wondrous creatures of earth, sky, and sea, soaring mountains and splendid forests, and intelligent, astonishing beings. Behind what we see lie further wonders, realms between realms, worlds between worlds. Some are with us still, just beyond the veil of sight, and some we will experience when we are in between lives. These other worlds have been placed carefully and deliberately behind the veils of what we humans call reality, in order to protect and preserve their wisdom and energies. They are now slowly revealing themselves, allowing themselves to be experienced and discovered, remembered, and restored. And I can vouch for that. This is absolutely happening. I am having experiences, from this lifetime, and just otherworldly kind of memories and things are popping up lately. So I definitely agree with the what people are saying now, that quote-unquote the veil is thinning between our 3D world and the 5D world. We're getting glimpses into other things, let's just say. Before I begin, my voice may be a little all over the place today, so bear with me. I don't know about you, but over the last 2 weeks especially, on and through till last night, I've had the most bizarre sleep patterns, meaning I really can't sleep no matter what I try to do, and that is just totally atypical for me. Like, I can usually sleep no matter what. So see if you're noticing anything strange. I feel like it's just kind of something in the air, so to speak. Feels like maybe some bigger global energy, something's up, let's just say. And on that note, let's look up and see some sky observations. So whether you're new or returning to this channel, I extend a heartfelt thanks for being here and a huge welcome. If you are returning, you might want to skip this bit. If you are new, I'm going to give a super short intro today about what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it. I invite you to look at any of my other previous shows. I'll give you a little more in-depth intro, and also obviously the show itself. I'm very detailed with it, so you'll see what I'm talking about as we move into it. So the real short version is that I go out about my daily business, whether it's daytime or nighttime, and I look up. I take a good 360-degree look around, and I do it, periodically during the day as I'm coming and going. And I invite you to do this if you're not doing it already. Really look up, and it only takes maybe 2 to 5 minutes out of your entire day to do this. And you can look up as you go to and fro, or you can also just go out when you notice the light quality seems a little special, or just something's tugging at you to go outside, do it. Bring a handheld camera. I just use a really old Android camera phone to do this, and just start taking some pictures, especially if you're looking up and you don't really see something with the naked eye, but you sense it. Just take a picture, and that's what I do. Then I run this through just on a PowerPoint platform. You can use anything similar to that. And I enhance the photos. And so you'll see, like in this example, I have the original on the left and the enhanced on the right. And by enhanced, I simply mean that I've taken the photo and edited attributes of it, such as color, saturation, brightness. Let's see, sometimes color temperature and things of that nature, just to get better at what is going on, in the photo. And a lot of times it's amazing, what pops out of it. It just reveals a whole new world of what's really going on in the sky. And so anyway, you're going to see more about what I'm talking about as we get into it. I put strange cloud and quotes activity in the corner on these slides as a little title. And by clouds and quotes, I mean cloaking craft is suspected. So there's a lot of cases where I've started to see actual machine parts popping out of some of these cloud formations. Clear enough that when I zoom in, I can even use some sketch tools, basic sketch tools to, trace over these things. And if you look at one of my earlier shows called Awe-Filled Sunset, I think it's toward the halfway through or second half maybe, you see a really clear example of how I was even able to trace over right angles and make out an actual, look like a World War II battlecraft. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the skies lately. Do look up. I got a kind of very supernatural experience happen that pointed an arrow like almost directly saying, you must start looking up. And I didn't quite get what that meant until I had my first clear sighting of a perfect triangle imprint in the sky, and that shows up in the very first show. So anyway, I'm going to jump into things for now. So on the left, just this caught my attention because I started to make out a triangular form in the overall clouds. And so we look to the right with enhancement, and sure enough, I get a different color signature on whatever's going on in here. Now keep in mind, this is in the morning looking east. So you could say, oh, well, that's just the different colors of the sun rising. Well, no, because if you noticed on the left-hand side, this is getting pretty much fairly equal distribution. We've got a brighter beam, if anything, coming off to the right, which you see here, sharp angle. And it's all white, if you notice. So how do we get color signatures just here? So that tells me there's some type of cloak and craft happening in here, generating those color signatures. Now this bright white beam coming up, I talk about the solar simulator and artificial sun concepts, which more and more now I just have to say they're there. I know them to be really proven. And also if you look at tons of Earth and Sky watching channels, from around the world on YouTube especially, you'll see genuine people like myself just going out making direct observations, and they're noticing this too. The sun is not behaving as our original sun, which was a nice soft, warm, slightly pulsing glow. Now we've got this hijacked version, I'll just say it, which is just pure and glaring and white and does not act or behave nor feel like our original sun and the healing light properties from it. But I'm going to say just stop there for now because I have plenty of evidence on this in my previous shows. And again, do look at other Sky and Earth watching channels out there. There's some really great stuff coming out from people from around the world. All right, so I don't want to pass over this without mentioning too, if you look at C, we also have a triangular form here with straight lines. And I have been finding, octagonal shapes. You're going to see a pentagonal shape showing up later in the show. Actually, this looks like it might be one over here. But anyway, lots of unusual shapes with straight edges, straight lines that have a geometry that just would not otherwise appear in a natural cloud system. And I've been on this planet for many decades. I'm noticing a lot of strange stuff in the skies, and that's what I'm sharing with you on the show. So let's keep moving. So now we're going to zoom in on this one more triangular looking form. And what also is odd about it is, again, it's catching a specific form really against the light physics properties. It shouldn't be doing that if it's nothing special in its own right. And then we've got a strange kind of formation happening here, which is starting to look like the overall outline of a triangle as well. Something strange and fuzzy, looks like it's coming and going in here. So there's enough, and look at B. I mean, this thing is like detaching from this thing. So there's enough strangeness going on in here to catch my attention and to merit some enhancement on the photo. Hang on one second. Okay, so here we go with enhancement, and we see this extraordinary color signature popping up, not only here, but over here too, where they both happen to be. triangular forms. And then we have this weird movement. I know the tree's in the way on this one, but we'll see it a little bit better later. We have a strange darker cloud mass with a straight line coming down, in front of it and behind it, just really strange all over the place. And especially in here, looks like we have a little craft, moving off from the side with a little trail. Maybe it came from here, it looks like, coming down, going off this way. Again, what is this doing and why do we have it? It looks like it's detached, but this also might just be reflection coming off of whatever machine part features are happening on this thing. And I also would like to add, yes, something strange is going down here too. When I say cloak and craft, yes, it could be something piloted, but it also could be just a sensor or something, instrumentation that goes out into the atmosphere for some reason from whatever larger craft I'm suspecting is happening here. Now, see point one, again, we get like a triangular shape form here, or, a more capsule-shaped thing just zooming across this way. Weird little things happening in here as well. So I really see lots of little cloak and craft popping up out of whatever this whole thing is. See what you think is going on. As always, I invite you to have a look, see what you think. And if you have any interesting takes on what we're seeing, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Also, I'm just saying this straight up, a lot of times there's so much going on in a given photo. I'm not going to cover every bullet point here, so to speak, every letter I drop in, nor am I going to, there might be something so obvious and I just miss it. That's not intentional. There's just so much happening, and sometimes I get focused in on the detail and might miss something bigger happening. So again, call that out if you see it, if I've passed over it, or if you want me to cover something in more detail, and I happen to just glide right over it. Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to cover that in a future show. Alright, so we're going to keep looking at this thing. It starts to kind of morph. Now it looks like less triangle and more lemon shape. Again, look at this line of this weird mass of dense particulate. That's not typical cloud coming in the front and behind this thing. And again, we have this strangeness that is B.1, and now also this weird thing happening here in between the two. And again, I always look at not only color signature, cloud form, spacing, all kinds of stuff to see what might be artificial, let's just say, happening in our cloud systems. But also, just the proximity to things and the movement. So how do we have something moving across and then just come down 90 degrees straight if that's a normal cloud formation? In addition to all this strangeness, the answer is no, that just doesn't happen in a natural cloud formation in this area. I'm in subtropical to tropical South Florida, lived here for many decades, also have traveled and lived around the world, have not been observing the things that I'm starting to see now in the skies, especially in the last 3 years, heightened. Okay, now this original photo is looking east, also in the morning. Weirdness here because we've got that weird B element and that weird cloud, density, let's just say. It's just weird particulate looking very artificial, weird things springing off of it. And then we get more weirdness as we move toward the south, still looking east though, and we get like this wing-like shaped thing, this definite, not a boomerang, but we've got a triangular, overall triangular shape with an outcropping at the top. Now whether these are attached or this is separate, we'll find out in a minute. With also like a depression, like a hole it's looking like in here. And even within that hole, it looks like, not even a hole, what do I want to say? It's like a bowl shape, inverted into this thing. And then it looks like there's a rectangular form or square form within that depression. Really weird, like some kind of dish, And then we have something strange, kind of either outcropping or camouflage technique around this thing. Anyway, there's enough here too to merit looking at it with some enhancement. Here we go. Now, which is strange here is when we look at B1, this looks part of a bigger craft here as well. We get these really white, bright points here, these white, blue, looking things, and something strange happening here texture-wise. We also have darker things happening at a regularized pattern. So to me, this looks like some intelligent design springing off of the top of what already looks like definite artificial cloud, which again is what I say, cloaks is great for cloaking these craft. It's not there by accident. Anyway, taking another look at C.1, can't get it too much. This does look like it's springing off of whatever this thing is, this triangular shape. We have different color signatures showing that that's happening. There's some movement. And then we've got darker, like shadows that look at like symmetrical, like mirrored images of each other almost, about this weird depression here, I'm calling it. We also have some strange things happening here, which I believe also are craft, springing off. Something strange emerging here, white and fuzzy. I think things are cloaking in there as well. See what you think is going on, though. All right, now we're going to zoom in one more time on that triangular feature. And we do see that this is kind of a different animal, so to speak. It's got a different color range, and it's got cloaking material around it. And it looks like it's springing up off of this thing. And so, again, see what you make out of it, but that depression, that kind of like inverted conical thing, or like a bowl thing, radar dish in there, or something embedded with this now you see it, this, I keep saying triangle, sorry, this rectangular shape here vertically in there. It looks like a hole. What the heck is going on here? And then on this version of enhancement, this looks like a clear triangular shape. This thing is still acting strange over here. So yeah, let me know what you think if you care to in the comment section below, or just ponder this more on your own time. And here too, I just want to point out, here's a little triangle springing out of this stuff too. Something else is springing out here that looks more egg shape. Again, just this does not happen with typical, cumulus clouds in this area and in this climate. All right, this scene, we're looking south in the morning, and this just started looking strange because once again, we have something heading off more or less horizontal. It's kind of pitching on a slight angle. And then we have this thing just out of nowhere busting out and arcing over, toward the east. So what the heck is that? Normal clouds don't develop like that in this area and this climate. And also, all of this is so insanely low in the sky. I want to point that out too, once again, for these things that I'm noticing lately. And I also saw these strange shapes, a little crystalline diamond form emerging here, propped, sitting just on the top of this. I cover things like this, more clearer examples in previous shows such as Sky, that's what it's called, rim watching 2, that kind of a thing. And there's an elongated diamond shape here with a little trail behind it. Lots of strange stuff happening, these little bits and fragments of, darker density, something strange happening here too. So anyway, we look at it with enhancement. You see what all is going on there at D.1 a little bit better. It's weird. It's like this little arm and fingers dropping down with these two things moving in a different direction. A lot of oddities here. I'm going to leave this one for you guys and girls and just have a look on your own when you have a little more time. Again, C.1, that's acting strange. We've got bright white points in here too. This looks like a really elongated tube, real thin tube heading across this way. Looks like a little triangle shape right here, dropping down out of this way, coming at a totally different angle. So come on, there's a lot of movement and stuff. Again, craft, whether it's sensors or I don't know what else, things taking readings in the atmosphere, or just, little craft at play amidst a bigger system of cloak and craft. I'm not sure. Make of it what you will. Okay, now still looking south, getting another look at this similar system here. So look at it, we've got different objects in and of their own right. I'm just going to skip over to the right-hand version. So you see like an elongated triangle, a weird thing blinding like coming in at D.1. Strange dark density and color signature here with something strange happening above it. Triangular shape at B.1. This doing its own thing on its own angle up here. Look at this one. I did label it F.1. Coming down at an angle. This coming down at an angle with some structure in there. You can see almost like a pipe emerging. And then this one has like a little pipe with a hole at the end of it sticking out of this. That's what I mean by machine parts. And one down here too, in line with this thing. So there's definitely intelligent design popping out of these things. Again, this is another one. I'm going to move ahead, but see what you find in there. We're going to take another little view of it. I changed the letters up a little bit. We're going to look at it with enhancement. And again, I start to see distinct parts popping up out of this thing. This one looks like it's arcing in a pure curve. This just is not a natural cloud nor a natural cloud behavior, especially when we have these two parallel pitched on the same angle. This looks like a rectangular form, very clean line, almost like a stick of butter on angle. We still have this triangular shape happening. A lot of weird oddities. The more you look, the more you're going to see on this thing. All right, now we're going to change gears and look to the west. And this looked odd because, again, we have a collection of completely different cloud forms and densities and doing their own thing in different directions. We even have a circular form emerging here. So this is starting to look like a cloaking pattern on an overall craft. We have a straight line happening over here. Shows me there's something either triangular or something not natural to clouds happening in the back of that thing. Then we have a different kind of cloud structure and consistency, coloration in the middle, and something definitely different emerging up here. Also, I want to note at A, it started to have an otherworldly color emitting from it, which often happens when I know that there's cloak and craft activity going on. And it gets to be this like beautiful otherworldly cyan or like white blue color emanating in the background, and that was happening here. And so we look at this with enhancement. It's a little blurry and bitmappy, but you get the idea that there are objects happening in here. So where I thought there was something going on, sure enough, now we see this darker object with a cloaking material in front of it. So again, I suspect that color is being generated by cloaking craft. And sure enough, every time when I do this stuff with the enhancements, I see something non-natural looking of intelligent design partially cloaked up in these clouds. And so look at B.1. What is this? So where I was starting to see that straight line, look at, sure enough, we have the top of a triangular form. And it's really dense. Not like anything else really, except maybe this up here and something happening down in here and over here. And then this kind of, you know, turns into something trailing behind it, I'm going to guess. And look at this. We see an elongated triangle with a little something protruding from the top. So, I mean, this looks like a ship with like a little command deck over here. That's what I see. What do you see? I see that very clearly at C.1. It has a totally different color signature and movement to it, but I don't know what the relationship is between these two. It is very intriguing. See what you think. You know, something strange is brewing here at D.1 as well. I believe it's an overall pointed elliptical form. This one's just really bizarre. Okay, now we're going to look east, and again, it's still in the morning. Now, what caught my attention here was a lot of things. Again, we have a strange form with its own light signature up here at A, with dark, quote-unquote, cloud in front, right behind it. I mean, in front of it and right behind it. Then, we go lower into the sky, which all of this is really low as it is, and we have this dark, unnatural color, you know, again, quote-unquote, cloud stuff occurring. Now, what really caught my attention is D and C. So we look to the right, and I started to see, not only was this thing at B odd in and of itself, but we have like some kind of like machine part, it looks like reflecting or coming out of it. And then we have this like capsule-like thing, pure white, happening at C.1, and something kind of trying to emerge at D.1. And so we're going to look at that for a bit. Now, this thing is just a lens flare, so no worries there. And this is a bird. Okay, that for sure. Hang on one second. Okay, so anyway, those two are confirmed. But now we start to see weird smudgy stuff emerging. Again, this curious thing at B with weird things happening about it. So we look to the right, and I first see, okay, we got this weird thing springing off of this. Okay, now there's a line starting to appear, a little one here too, that you can follow parallel to each other. And this thing is springing off also parallel. And how do you have something bright white little bit next to this thing? That just doesn't happen in normal cloud, you know, light physics. You know, this whole thing would be lit up, not just a little fragment that has very, you know, straight lines to it. So we'll look at that more because that was looking to be an anomaly. Then looking like a second later, that was like fading, you know, like phasing in and out, changing shape amidst this darker smudgy stuff. And then here, this starts to have almost like a bone look, you know, like a flared out edge, you know, here and here with a stick in the middle. And still, neither of these two little fragments are doing what this is doing. There's still, again, a long pipe piece poking out here. Oh, forgive this little C, just ignore that. I forgot to edit that out when I was copying and pasting stuff for the slides, the letters onto the slides. So, and then we have, you know, something weird happening here as well in relationship to this that's different than this. And actually, this looks like it's springing up this way with a vapor trail behind it, so see what you think. All right, so then we look over here, and we still have this thing, you know, and it looks like it's actually attached. It was, you know, first like ghost-like, and now this thing looks like it's actually attached to whatever's going on. And again, this just looks too strange. So we're gonna check that out right now. And look at, we've got these arcing forms, you know, very stick-like at the end, something weird sitting on top. It's just bizarre. I don't know what that is. See if it makes sense to you. But it looks like intelligent design for sure. And then we're going to go back one more time and look at this thing again when it had this springing up and this at the same time, and this weird thing, you know, the whole thing juxtaposed to each other. None of this makes sense in terms of color and movement and pieces and parallel things. And then we go down to E. I want to look at that on this photo. So this looks like a home plate. Looks like a little house or like a Monopoly piece even. It's such like a perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, pentagonal shape. And then it has weird like sticks coming out from it. So We're going to look at this zoomed way in. So if you're looking at this on a laptop, you may want to squint your eyes because it gets a little bit mappy and fuzzy. I think if you have a smaller device, it'll come up clearer. And if you have both handy, actually this show is great to watch on both at the same time. And you look up from one bigger screen to a smaller screen, you're going to see a lot of different things pop out at you that you don't see necessarily just one with one or the other. And I happen to narrate this on the bigger format, so again, I might miss some things that you can easily see when it's on a smaller, more thumbnail-sized format. Anyway, I'm also starting to see something pop up here that looks a little strange. There's a lot of high strangeness in this scene. All right, it's enough of that scene. I got a little captivated with it, but now we're going to look north in the morning, and here we go, more toward 10:30 in the morning. And I started to see this, clear, straight edges here once again, triangular imprint, in a break here in the cloud, but it has a very rigid geometric form. Again, not natural. Other strange things started to go on, like the whole scene was starting to get very, what I call staccato cloud effect, where it gets choppy and fuzzy to the naked eye, yet everything else is in clear focus, and that tells me there's something up above that is sending out either electromagnetic wave activity or there's some type of frequencies to make the whole area choppy. And like I always say, it's either doing it intentionally as a great way to cloak a lot of objects in the sky at once, or it just is maybe a byproduct of whatever's powering whatever is cloaking above. And so that's my theories for now. But anyway, we still see this rigid sky imprint when I go to the enhanced version. And again, this confirms what I suspected, that there's cloaking craft going on up in here, because now we get a burst of this, red, magenta, raspberry pink signature with a white ball in the middle of it, a hot spot, and another little weird little object with a trail happening over at D, because you can't have these little fragments, when you've got more solid color happening beyond, if it's not some type of different object, let's say, in the scene. So anyway, and I see weird movement, like this weird thing popping off this way. This looks like a strange object, also behind cloak. I just see enough in here to tell me something just isn't naturally happening up in these clouds. As always, see what you think. Okay, once again, same principle as the previous slide, just weird choppiness, but now we're looking west instead of north. And look at this, you start to see clear, like this looks like a V shape coming down to a point, a little, like a V on angle. And then there's a pure curve with a separating line, like a jigsaw puzzle, just really strange stuff. So of course we're going to enhance this baby, and here we go. We get some, red, pink, and violets, indigos, all kinds of colors, with a huge white out behind it. So again, it tells me something very different is happening just here locally above than beyond. And even at f.1 we get a triangular shape, looks like the top of a triangle happening back here, something kind of being cloaked and veiled particulate back in here, looks like a downturned triangle here, different color signature completely than its neighbor, looks like a veiled triangle happening back in there as well. There's just so much going on. This looks like a spherical thing that kind of zoomed in, and that's the darker trail belonging to it, is what I see anyway. And then again, we got a pure curve coming over here. None of this is natural. And then D.1 also has a very otherworldly feel, that whatever is going on here is a totally different color signature wedged within these V's arms, and something strange starting to come or go. Or if you follow my cursor, this overall thing is like a white, milky white triangle. Looks very transparent, so this could be phasing in and out of state, or be something interdimensional even, because all of this is overlaid on top of something bigger, happening here beyond with this darker blue and black signature. I'm stumped on this one. See what you think is going on. And yeah, I put that on the cover. Okay, this is looking southeast, and a little bit later, and still, still in the morning. And so we have this, starting to look like a right angle, a lot of strangeness, again, the staccato effect, darker things. Oh, and I meant to mention this red, pink, magenta, raspberry kind of stuff, when it pops up, it's very telling. There's stuff going on in the skies that aren't natural to natural cloud systems. But also take a look at my description box below to see what could be causing this. It's either something happening local, and in some cases it's something happening bigger beyond in the atmosphere, let's just say. So in this case, we see a triangular form, dark at 8.1, something strange happening with a different color signature here and dark purple beyond. And then really, I'm not sure what's trying to emerge here. I do see, though, here's a point at B.1. If you follow my cursor, it is kind of looking like a pointed ellipse on an angle, like a lemon shape. I'm not sure, though. This also might be part of something bigger, and I just happen to zoom in on the detail of it. See what you think, though. Pure, triangular dark form happening here as well. I think it's multiple pieces of different things cloaking and emerging back and forth in our field of view. Then now we're going to look north, and this just speaks for itself, I hope, to my lovely audience. I love all of you guys. Thanks for being here. If you've watched any of my shows, I'm hoping that you're picking these things out even before I get to them these days. Before I get to it, to talk about it and see where I'm going with this. But we've got, kind of striations doing their own thing. This is doing its own pattern. And then we have distinct objects, really. So you see a pure point, there, edge of a triangle there and up here. Same thing kind of echoing back here in its own little way. They have a similar, feel to them. Something darker happening and being cloaked back in here. Something, straight line over here starting to emerge. So we're going to look at this with enhancement, and wow, a lot is revealed. So a lot is, and at the same time a lot isn't. That's a frustrating thing about this. There's enough to say, hey, there's a cloak and craft, but sometimes I would just love for all of this, I always say it, the cloak and stuff to blow away so we could clearly see what's going on. And I think that time is coming. I think this is a form, as I've said before too, of soft disclosure, where people like me and hopefully people like you are starting to notice these things. And with the advent of these, digital, these camera phones and stuff, they have a much vaster range. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. They have a vaster range of, photo and light sensitivities, so we're able to pick this up even more. And look at this. So we have, something with a straight line happening, maybe a little bit tubular, cylindrical, long, like extruded cylinder or something. And then we have something with a point on it. It even kind of crosses, and again, that wouldn't happen in a natural cloud form. And this, we still see these points kind of emerging out of whatever the rest of this is. And very dark, darker objects compared to everything else. 8.1 looks like a clear example of an object, a bigger object, and then you've got cloaking material coming over it, or maybe it's like another craft floating in front, but I think that's cloaking material. And then again, look at these color signatures. Bright, bright white, but then we get a burst of this warm activity, in darker colors. Just, it's like, what is happening? There's also a darker object happening back over here at D, beyond the other side of D, so on this side and then on this side, back side. See what you think is happening in here. Oh, with this one, sorry, it's not only a triangular form, it's starting to look like, something quite bigger. Like this is actually a part of it, not detached. This is just cloaking material coming in front, and that this whole thing is probably something. And hey, why not? This could even be something bigger. And because there's such a whiteout, who knows? Maybe all of this is a part of one big, much bigger craft. Again, see what you think and even feel on this one. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. Usually I just include something in nature or just something that was really unusual for the time frame that I took the photos. And in this case, I really felt compelled to include one of the cards from the recent deck I came into that I mentioned at the beginning. So I drew a card, and this one, and again, it's from the Oracle of the Hidden Worlds deck. Now, this one is called the Dolphin Caller. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. So this is card number 15, the Dolphin Caller, and underneath they just say, pure, joyful friendships, loving help. So I'm just going to include an excerpt from the guidebook on this particular card. It's much more lengthy, and I recommend this deck if anybody is into decks. It's really quite beautiful and gives a nice variety, especially if you have some other decks. But anyway, I'm going to read the quote for the Dolphin Caller. So in addition to pure, joyful friendships and loving help, we have this. There are those who can call forth the powers of nature, the messengers of the Mother and of the Great Spirit. But when we gaze upon nature's marvels, we rarely see the Ancient Ones standing in their midst, stirring again and again the cauldron of the planet, and allowing us to see all of the beauty and the wonder that is here. The Dolphin Caller steps forth at dawn, and to this being, the ancient relatives of the humans, the people of the sea who will move through and around the waters to cleanse and clear the sacred oceans, come. They reawaken within the waters their purity and their song, and the Dolphin Caller will transfer their song and gift and clearing energy to the land, to the people, as they go about their day. So many now are beginning to arise from their slumber, and not just the slumber of sleep. They are awakened from the slumber of the soul. And I hope wherever you are noticing this more and more. People are awakening. And I always thought it was curious when the final, we'll say quote unquote, I'm supposing it's the final Star Wars episodes came out, when they kicked it off with episode 7, 8, and 9, with the 7, when they called it The Force Awakens. And I just thought that was interesting. You know, I wasn't really expecting that in the title or where the movie would go. And it really is about the awakening. And it was so timely because I experienced, more and more awakening ever since 2010, really. But another, resurgence of it when that movie came out. So anyway, this is talking about that. And I hope wherever you are, you're starting to see more and more people waken up a bit, awaken, and start to question things in the world. And just tying it back, circling back to the title of this whole show, hopefully everybody is just watching and wondering. So thank you for watching and wondering at some things here a while, not only up in the skies, but again, looking around you. I hope you're seeing some interesting things emerge, and sometimes it emerges in what we don't want, as far as, for me personally speaking, what's going on in the world. But it's necessary to really be the catalyst to wake some people up. And I do see that happening, so I hope you are too. Anyway, that's it for now. It is Monday where I'm at, and so I wish everybody a beautiful start of the week, and more importantly, a gorgeous right now. And as always, I send you tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.